when you're looking today at social media, for example, and there's a lot of influencers and people that are they're unhinged. Let's just be frank. I mean, that's the best term I can use. They're unhinged. And somebody said to me that why is it that you'll have sort of young du'at, let's say, or some people, and they've got millions of followers, some people, right? And you've got your Sunni ulama, Sunni scholars that have studied in madrasas in Egypt or in Yemen or in Istanbul or even in England or whatever it may be, but they don't have that sort of following. So what's going on? My answer to this was, and I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. My answer was that sensationalism is not part of the manhaj. That sensationalism, which is clickbait, is not part of the manhaj. If it was part of the manhaj, then you would see the mizan, the scales balanced.
Yep.
But what with Sunni ulama that have to show face to their mashayikh, Sunni ulama that have communities, they would never do anything that will ever contradict that or in any way, put
Ruin
dirt,
that.
not ruin that. No. So they're not going to get the clickbait naturally. That's one of the reasons. Now, how do you, one, I'd love to hear your comments on that. Number two, well, how do we, because you're seeing what's happening now, no one cares what the truth is. They just want to go for it. How do you navigate that where you're saying to this young 18, 19-year-old, Habibi, please stop posting sectarianism on Twitter and come and study properly, fill in all the gaps of your knowledge, and then move along. What do you do with these two things?
I've noticed that very few interactions beneficial, fruitful interactions will outweigh tons of social media posts. And our method, our manhaj, as you said, we have communities to show up to. We have respectable people to live with who rely upon us, who trust us with their kids. In some cases, when they send their kids to study with us, acting like a clown and a buffoon is not something that's in our wheelhouse. It's not something that we can do. We have people who, shuyukh, who are also, in some sense, cheering us on. Also, in another sense, we have to show face in front of them. We have to behave in front of them. We got to be behaved. We have they have communities of ilm. You have to not act like someone who's one of these narcissists seeking attention, acting like a buffoon or a clown, or controversial, or throwing gas on issues that really that shouldn't be brought up in front of everybody. But so for that reason, we can't play that game. But that game is very weak. The influence dies real fast, and the impact is very soft. So the impact is positive in getting your attention, but does it convert your attention to conviction? Only actual studying can do that. So it's not totally empty of impact, but if its impact is misguided, I don't worry so much anymore, because I've actually literally have seen Shabab go 3 and 4 years in that world of just, these little 10-second clips and maybe a whole video. But as soon as you meet one person who can correct this, it's corrected. For that reason, I don't worry so much about these huge accounts. And on top of that, by the way, they're not even authentic. It's purchased. Nothing is organic anymore. Marketing people tell me nothing's organic. It's purchased. This stuff is purchased, right? And if you actually look at a lot of the followers of a lot of things, a lot of it is purchased. And it's just nameless accounts and naked women and all these things. And there's like, why would these people follow, Aqeedah.com or whatever the account is, right? It's not. It's fake, right? It's farmed. But in any event, I do recognize there is benefit. They are drawing attention. But are you converting attention to conviction over the long run? And I think that nothing is going to solve that except actual humans that you deal with. And even if you deal with humans over the long run online, virtually, because not everyone has a community. A lot of people who love the deen, they don't have a community, but they can have an online community. They can have a virtual community. Even the virtual community will fix you over time. Like a WhatsApp group, a virtual community where you make genuine friends. Maybe you meet once or twice at Umrah or something, or you visit them once or twice physically. And even if you don't, but a virtual community led by scholars can fix a lot of those misguided ideas that are being spread. That's my reaction to those and my take on accounts that are misguided, I would say, in some aspects, not all aspects, misguided. The method in which they do it, maybe we can't do it if you're in respectable society. But nonetheless, there is some benefit, and whatever's not, I trust and I have certainty can be fixed very easily with live interactions. Yeah. That's why I don't think there's a need to compete in that. And secondly, you want to have a dawah that's online that can age. How long can you be a clown online and a rabble rouser? Can you be 60 years old and a rabble rouser? Right? Like maybe you can. I mean, Donald Trump is like that, right? The guy's like 80 and he still acts like that. But as a Muslim, how long are you going to go with this? Right? Aren't your kids going to say, come on, dad, like, cool it off a little bit? Are you and your wife going to be do these people go to house invitations? Like, how do you show up to dinner at your friend's house? We're all couples coming with their families, right? How do you show up after acting like a clown all day online? And being so controversial. How do you have friends? How do you go to Eid? I wonder how these people show up. But the way that we should use social media is a way that can last forever until you're 80. Putting up stuff that benefits people without compromising what we call muru'ah. Muru'ah, just like dignity and things. That's how I think people should use social media. Look at Habib Omar use social media. A lot of shuyukh use social media, and they don't lose their dignity. They could keep doing that till they're 80. They're not trying to chase anything. They're just putting the fa'idah out there. The fa'idah is the benefit. Yeah.
But how do you now with a lot of, let's say, young people, naturally they look up to those people. They want to be those people. And they realize, well, if I have a camera, I don't need to go and do the 10, 15, 20 years of study.
Yeah.
What a waste of time that is. I can just get that now. So all I need is a camera. If I'm gifted in speech and I'm articulate and I read a little bit, I can just go for it. And because there's no checks and balances. If it was a Muslim world, traditionally there'd be accountability. If you had a community, there'd be accountability. There's no accountability. So
I'll tell you
that's one big problem.
If a high schooler drops out of school and he says, hey guys, I got a job at a pizzeria. Look, I make $200 a week, right? Working at a pizzeria. Why go to school, right? I make $200 a week right here. I make $1,000 a month, $800 a month at the pizzeria, right? And he's looking over at his high school classmates who are studying physics and biology, and they don't have $800 a week. So he's impressed. Now, next month, he's got $1,600. Month after that, 2 months later after that, he's got $3,200. And meanwhile, all his friends are just studying biology and math and chemistry and stuff, right? And every month is cemented in him that, this, I don't need to do this studies. I got money, right? Well, let's fast forward in 10 years. Who has money? Let's see in 15 years who is buying a house and who's not, right? So that's the analogy here. That's the analogy of somebody. So I would just say, you know what? You want to go that route? Go ahead and do it. I don't think it's a great idea, but do it because you're going to learn you have to learn the hard way. You're going to learn after a while that everything you're saying contradicts each other. You're going to get flamed. You're going to get torn down. You're going to get exposed, right? Facades can't last forever. And you see that outside of Islam with, people who put themselves off as very wealthy playboys and businessmen, and it turns out it's all rented. They're all hired people. No one is actually there with them. It's just hired models. It's hired houses that they are filming in front of. I guarantee you every Instagrammer that's selling you his courses, I'll teach you how to get rich, and he comes out of a beautiful pool in Beverly Hills. Do you think he owns it? It's rented, right? 5 years later, it's all exposed. It's all rented, right? And the business actually never made money, and the guy never made money, and the whole thing is a grift and a scam. Well, it's the same thing inside of in the world of Dawah. It's let's see over 20, 30 years what the product is. That's really what matters. Yeah.
SubhanAllah. Oh, I think that's a really important message. And I think also, if I could just say one last thing on that, which is that the everything that you said, it's really important. But I also, I guess, maybe take this opportunity for myself and for other people, which is also to fear Allah in that as well. Because I remember a brother, he made a statement. He was on a podcast, and he made a statement about the Maturidis or something. I don't know what he said. Something that they're like Mu'tazila or something like that. And so, I messaged him, privately, and I said to him, look, that's wrong. You do know that, right? And I said to him that what you really need to do is contact the brother that you did the podcast with, and you need to get that removed, because everyone that's ever going to listen to you, I mean, you made a mistake. That's fine. That can happen, right? But have you studied anything in Kalam? He said no. And I was like, do you speak Arabic? He said no. And so you've read something online, I don't know where, Wikipedia or I don't know what, and you've come on and you've made a statement that now is recorded for all eternity, essentially. And I don't mean literally all eternity. And everyone that's going to listen to you is gonna take that. So I think from that perspective, and not just that, but what's worse is if you're young and you're giving fatwa, and you're telling people about really important issues, and today we've got big political issues from not just from atheism, but things related to not just transgenderism, but just gender in general, or whatever it may be. This is why I give the people the example about, don't let your hatred for feminism turn you into a red pill beer, is what I call them, right? When you go so far that way, where you begin to disrespect one of the most sacred things to Muslims, which are their mothers, their sisters, their wives, their daughters, and so you can't. And this is why the Prophet is the greatest role model, alayhi salatu wasalam. So you don't want to go. Don't let your frustrations take over you. So and the reason why I mention that is because I do feel it. I feel it inside. But you have to be very, very careful. And Allah is His deen. We're all gonna wa kullu man alayha fan anyway. Right? We're all gonna go. The deen was mateen. It will remain.
It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. But you don't want to fall by the wayside either. You don't want to be wasted. And if you've got talents and you're clever, why not just put in a few years of good, solid work? And then who knows what could become of you? So that's really important for the shabab.
It's so important. Have taqwa. Know that there's a process of doing everything has a right and a wrong. And right now, that it's illegal to give financial advice to people without certification. So imagine advice for eternity. Now, you're talking aqeedah and things like that for eternity. So it's extremely important. Extremely important.